Looking up this spot, I was surprised that my hand doesn't exist in this line. This is one detail I missed here. Matthias here again, this time from a tournament, the 25k high roller on a Sunday. Let's take a look what I faced here. So action folds to Adrian, good rec of course in the button, 30 big blinds deep, he opens, I have an easy defend. All standard at this point. Gonna say right away, the question is going to arrive on the river, but we need to think smart, step by step, so that we have a better understanding on the river. So action starts by Adrian checking back. I think this is a board he could see but fairly wide, but fair enough, goes for a check back. At this point we already know he is certainly kept, like if he doesn't see bet here. Could be 5x, could be 9x, could be a bunch of ace high, I guess, or medium pocket pairs like 6, 7, 8s. Anyway, I think our hand doesn't really have many options at all here, because it's not strong enough to bet for value. Just the third pair is not enough on the queen, and it's way too strong to bluff it. We still have the third pair and the gutshot and the overcard, so at this point very clear check call. At least that's the plan. Goes check check again, however. And now what I'm thinking? I'm thinking there's a good chance that I'm ahead now, but I still think it looks a bit thin to value bet this. I mean, what do I beat? I beat the pocket 8s, 7s and 6s. I'm not sure if he would call them, and I could target ace high. I have way strong hands I can bet here. I have the 5 on the river, which I'm going to check on the flop. I'm going to check it on the turn. I have the second pair here to check myself, because on the queen as an overcard, I'm not going to bet that aggressive with check X for sure. So a lot of them I still have here at this point. And overall, I decided to check here. I thought it was the better play. And now I face a decision. And looking up this spot, I was surprised that my hand doesn't exist in this line. And now you might wonder why. And the answer is that with my kicker, I definitely have to bet the river. So what I said on the river here, that I was thinking I have many better hands I could bet with, this is all true, and most of my 9x is a check. However, not ace 9 and king 9. Like, those are so strong in terms of kicker that I can just target to get called by a weaker 9, right? He can play this line with 9-8, with 9-7 suited, with 9-6 suited. Maybe, yeah, 10-9, not sure if he would play that passive, but you get the point. King 9 is such a strong hand here that with my strong kicker, I have to value bet it here. This is one detail I missed here. And then the second question still remains, what should we do against the bet? And here I have actually two factors to weigh in. I think this spot is underbluffed, because people are not that keen to bluff if there is really the board doesn't change or anything. Yes, the 5 pairs, and maybe he could have rivered the trips now, but I think it's not a spot where people are very keen to bluff. Imagine he had now ace high or whatever, or king high. Would he now think to himself like, oh nice, the 5 pair, now I'm gonna bluff my whatever hand? I just think that's not really going to happen. So this is the first part. I think this spot is underbluffed. And now the second one is, how does this hand perform in the solver? Because this is like a good guideline. If the call is a break-even decision, then I will fold it because of the reason I just mentioned, that I think the spot is underbluffed. And the result was that around 80% of our 9x hands are calling, but 20% of them are folding, and that still tells us that it's somewhat close. Because if it was not close, then every 9x would just call. And I think with the kicker king, it probably performs above average in terms of call. So I think at this point it doesn't matter that much. I could call it, I could fold it, I'm still fine with both options. Main learning for me is, or main takeaway that I can do it a bit better next time, is that I should bet that strong of a kicker myself, especially when playing against the button. That's also what you should do next time. We are only looking at one straight the flop, But still, I want to share an important detail with you that is like crucial for many different spots, and that's why I want to share it with you. So I think it was one of my sessions pulling the trigger where we already had a situation occurring where I compared how does play loose versus loose range look like compared to tight versus tighter range. We can be a lot more open to bluffing high cards like king high or ace high if ranges are tighter, because we lack in other bluffs, and therefore bluffing high cards is completely fine. And on the other hand, when it's loose versus loose range, you have so many potential bluff candidates that you really do not want to bluff high cards, for example. So here, to some degree, in a different version, the same concept applies. So let's take a look at it. I defend in the big blind against the button, and I actually looked up the spot and solved it because of the concept of loose and tight ranges. What I just shared, it really applies to this specific hand. So what do I know paired boards from the big blind? Everybody should know that we should check raise a lot. Why? Because we really have plenty of 6x, those hands they just want to raise. And to balance that strategy, we can raise a lot of draws, a lot of gut shots, straight draws, flush draws, and that's the way we play on paired boards, very check raise heavy. However, now it's exactly happening what I shared with like having the high card, and I was not sure if this card is too strong now to check raise big blind against the button. Certainly if I'm big blind against high check or whatever, this is a very clear check raise. Queen high against the high check really does not have enough showdown value that I could say, well, I'm going to play it passive now. No, I should use this draw, I should use the paired board, and I should play it aggressive. However, now we are against the button. And the answer is that it's very mixed. It's around 50-50 here. And I have to say, like, I'm satisfied with that result. I went with the call. I have identified the scenario as not check raising all the queen highs here. Queen high draws. Oh no, actually I did check raise. See, I didn't even remember correct. But given that it was 50-50, both is completely fine. So what are the main type of draws where we can now go passive, where we would play aggressive against the high check? And the answer is it's king high draws and queen high draws. Those are affected the most. Because if we have just a 10 high draw, then even versus the loose button range, we don't have showdown value. So we will still play it aggressive. But queen high and king high is the ones where we're playing often passive against the button, and we would mostly play it aggressive against stronger positions. That's my takeaway here. That should be your takeaway, and remember that when you play in game. Loose ranges, going more for showdown value with high card hands.